Welcome back to Talkville, the ultimate Smallville rewatch podcast, where each week we go back, way back, and we watch every episode of the show that changed our lives, and we discuss it with you. Welcome, Ryan Tejas.
Hola.
Welcome, Tom Welling.
Hola. Hola.
Oh, yes. If you didn't get a chance to call in and leave your questions for this week's episode, make sure...
Then it's too late.
Yeah, well, it's obviously too late. Make sure you get some in for future episodes. Our hotline is 213-538-2883, 213-538-2883. Make the answers or your questions short. Hey, it's John. I have a question about episode, and it's just quick. Just do it quickly, okay?
Here's the question.
Yes, here's the question. Follow us on our socials. We are a new show. If you're enjoying this, spread the word. Help us spread the word. Follow us on socials. Talkville Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Talkville Pod on the Twitter. And if you want to join Patreon, it's patreon.com/Talkville. And you could join the Patreon family and support the podcast because we need your support to keep this show going. And we're very excited. We've done 8 episodes. This is the 9th. We're still doing it. Some people are like, are you guys really going through every freaking episode? And we're like, hey, if you guys listen, we are going to continue the show. So that's how
I'm learning through this process, through you that, I've listened to other podcasts, including Inside of You and whatnot, and they're like, subscribe, all this other stuff. And you're like, leave me alone. But it actually turns out that actually helps the podcast itself. So if you do like it, it actually helps because it shows the ads that the people were watching.
Yeah,
so
I agree. And also like when people write reviews of the show, if you write a review, hopefully it's a good review that you enjoyed yourself here. These are Smallville fans. And look, by the way, I'm going to say this right now. I got a message it was on YouTube. I was reading the comments and someone said, I mentioned this to you before, guys, but not to the audience, that they were like, the show's great if Rosenbaum would stop shitting on it. I'm like, I don't shit on the show. I'm just an observer. And by the way, I haven't given it a bad grade, a bad rating yet. It's just that I have problems, which we can't just sit out here and go, yeah, that was perfect. That was great. That was great. Oh my gosh, you were great, Tom. Hey, oh my gosh. Yeah,
well, maybe we should start doing that though.
You think for that one person?
Maybe we should, let's just do one where we just do positive things about every single thing.
And
just do a positive affirmation episode.
I think people want to hear they want to hear me bitch. They want to hear Tom talk about things that didn't work. It makes it more dynamic. It makes it more fun. And when they go back and watch it, they'll see things and they'll agree or they won't agree. Sometimes it will bother them and sometimes it won't.
I think there are just 2 episodes in a row where you give it lower than average reviews.
I didn't give it a bomb. I haven't given it a bomb yet. Have I?
Well, listen, I'm not trying to be optimistic, but here's a gentle reminder. Michael has no idea what Smallville is when he watches it. He's never seen the episodes, nor did he maybe read scenes he wasn't in. And this is not the genre that Michael prefers. So he's gonna be a little on edge. You know what I mean? Like if I watched a horror movie with you, I'm sure I'd be like, dude, do I have to finish this?
I would hate it probably.
And you'd be like, this is amazing.
I'm a critic. I think there's some amazing episodes of Smallville. I think it was a great show. I love it. I love being there. I have so many great things to say about it, as you've heard me say. However, I am going to call things out when I see them, and that's just the way it is.
All right.
That's just the way it is, baby.
Which brings us to...
Without further ado, let's get into season 1, episode 9. This baby's called Rogue.
Oh, yeah. I like this one.
The title was called Rogue. It aired January 15th, 2002. Director David Carson. Writers Al Goff. Guest star Kelly Brook as Victoria Hardwick. Cameron Dye as Sam Phelan. The synopsis: corrupt detective Sam Phelan learns about Clark's abilities and he offers to keep it quiet if Clark steals some internal police files. When Clark refuses, Phelan frames Jonathan for murder to extort Clark into stealing from Luthor Corp. Well, Ryan said this before the episode started. It wasn't a freak of the week.
Different kind of freak. Different genre of freak.
Well, I perhaps disagree. I think Clark was the freak of the week.
Interesting.
Really?
A twist.
Think about it. Phelan who I love. I loved it when I love his name, Phelan. I don't know where it
Phelan.
came from, but it's just such a good. Like he's just not failing all the time. He's failing. Like he's just a cop. He's just like a guy.
Filthy Phelan.
And he saw Clark as Freak of the Week, so that's what I think.
All right. Well, I didn't.
So we got dropped in a detective story where Clark was the abnormality.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it was sort of like,
X Factor.
Ryan said this episode was more like a Wire episode, like The Wire. It wasn't really a Smallville. And that's what kind of jarred me a little bit. It was like, it's Smallville's usually beautiful and the scope and, the cinematography. And this was kind of handheld camera and just kind of loose and just darker and kind of all over the place. And it was a little jarring. Not that I didn't. There's some great moments, but it was definitely an episode where I was like, "Wait, what show is this? What show?"
Yeah, this is it steps out of its realm a little bit. What I like is it's seeing Clark's a man of action, which I like. There's a grittiness. There's a real quick. I think the biggest memory that came back. I know we haven't really gotten into it, but it was the first time that I fell asleep in my cast chair because during the bus scene that we'll get to, it was like, I don't even think we started until 11 o'clock at night because we shut down the streets and it was downtown Vancouver for that whole bus thing. And I remember being like I think waking up in my cast chair because it was like 4:30 in the morning and we were shooting. I remember this episode. Yeah.
Wow, you do. I don't remember it. Things sort of came back to me working with Kelly Brook, and she was beautiful.
I would think so. I'm guessing you remember.
We
those.
hit it off. It was nice. Yeah. We're going to quickly go to the creator, one of the creators, Al Goff, Al's Corner. And Al texted me this morning because I texted him and I said, yeah, it was just a little different, wasn't it? He goes, Rogue was our attempt to mix it up and get away from Freak of the Week. It was a human villain who wanted to use Clark for nefarious purposes. I remember at the time it was well received and was the first step in us branching out our storytelling. If you look at the show moving forward, we basically mixed Freak of the Week with true crime stories and mythology stories. And you'll notice, especially as we get into season 2, the guest stars have less screen time and we focus more on the character relationships that have evolved. Also, people loved any episode that gave glimpses into Lex's former life as a Metropolis bad boy.
All right. Well, guys, it was great joining you today on the podcast. That just about sums up the episode. Thank you, Al.
Well, it was just,
that was great.
To start it out, I felt like,
That's cool. He did that.
Look, let's get into the brief play-by-plays and we can comment. I think we should do that, and then we'll get into how we feel and all the other stuff. Opening scene at a reception at the Metropolis Museum.
It's an adult party. That's the first thing that jumped out at me when we filmed it. I remember walking into that space and being like, "Ooh, this is a big continues to be a very big show. It almost feels like a movie."
Yeah.
Clark's in an adult party. It's cool.
And Lex jumps in and tells him about Alexander the Great and all these things that Lex knows. And
I wish Clark would have been like, "Who?"
Yeah, who? Why was he so great?
I don't know who he is. I'm from Krypton.
What's the deal with Alexander?
Wait, no, you've been going to like people school since like you were 6.
I guess, but I wish he would have been like, "Hey, don't you guys have the same name? Alexander the Great and Alexander Luthor?"
Clark goes to catch fresh air and witnesses a bus headed straight for a homeless person sleeping on a bench because the driver is having a heart attack.
With his dog.
Clark springs into action using his body to stop the bus. While doing this, he is seen by an onlooker and seemingly a dirty cop, Sam Phelan.
Now, hold on. Real quick, let me jump in. It immediately jumps out at me on this one, probably more than any time else since we started doing this. Clark's clothing is rather tough. Clark is just he stops the bus, great. He walks away, clothed, no problem. No problem.
Yeah, but there was the
jacket.
The jacket was ripped up.
But come on, he stopped a bus.
He did stop a bus.
I'm just saying.
But I mean, it would look really weird if every time he does something, he's just disheveled and all ripped up. It's kind of a choice. You got to go one way or another, right?
I think they did it a couple of times when we dealt with fire. For some reason, fire affected Clark's clothing. But, you stop a bus and you're like,
Do we ever see the guy in the bus after?
Yeah, he gets up. He's fine.
Oh, he gets up and he's fine.
Yeah.
Look, if he was going to hit a pole, he was going to hit the homeless guy.
Uh-huh.
Right?
He survived the heart attack, but died from the impact.
Yeah. I mean, that impact.
He's like, I feel better.
But it was really a cool
Sorry,
effect. It really was a cool effect, huh? What they did with that bus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember what they did is, I don't remember what they did first, but I stood there like this, and there was a plate, a line that I couldn't cross. And it was like 1, 2, 3, brace for impact. And then they drove a bus into a semi-permanent post. They just drove it in there and crushed it. And then they married the two on camera. And that's how we got there.
Wow. And that's the night you were up very, very late, sleeping in your chair.
Falling asleep.
I mean, do we need to talk about the armor a little bit and the on the nose symbolism?
Oh yeah. Yeah. When we're talking about Alexander the Great and the vest or the what do you call it?
The snake on there.
The body of armor. And it's like the snake and it's like an S. It was pretty much, as on the nose as you can get. And even the dialogue.
It symbolizes strength and courage. People say he was invincible.
And then doesn't Clark say something? Well, I'll never wear.
I can't imagine having that on or something. Yeah,
I can't imagine having that on. Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about this line now, but he said, "I'm just interested in people who ruled the world before 30." You remember saying that?
I didn't remember saying it, but I remember watching it. Yeah, I thought that was a kind of a cool line.
Yeah,
for Lex to have.
I think so too.
That's sort of in his character, and it just tells you who he is and what he's after.
It'd be weird if you said that and you were 50. I'm just interested.
That wouldn't have worked.
It doesn't work now.
Phelan pulls strings to get footage of the museum that night to pin down Clark. I don't want to jump ahead, but
but I will.
No, I'm not going to jump ahead. Lex gets approached by an old fling and daughter of a multinational industrialist, Victoria Hardwick, to sell his shares of Luthor Corp so her father can take control of the company. I remember she was kind of popular. She had done some acting jobs. Kelly Brook.
She was already an international sensation. She was very famous at the time.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about that scene is you guys both don't say anything other than something other than what you're feeling. It's a very nuanced scene, and I thought you guys pulled it off. It's like you guys just one-liners back and forth. I thought it was that's a very fun scene to watch.
You liked it. I have to say it was like I was a little bit embarrassed. I was a little bit like, sometimes with those scenes with her, I just felt like, some of them were good. I just felt like, whenever I'm watching myself be romantic or flirty or something, I cringe a little. What did you think, Ryan?
Well, I did do that too for you. But I thought the acting was.
Yeah, that was spicy. Those were some spicy scenes.
Oh, there's some scenes later on in the.
Does she come back in the show?
She does. Yes, she does. I think she's in the next one. I don't know, but she definitely, because
Oh, that's right. Because
Clark
ends up rescuing her from
yeah,
a
she does a
bathtub.
couple episodes.
Oh, she's in the next
That's
3.
right.
But I got to say, Kelly and I became kind of sort of friends, and when she came out to LA, we'd go get a drink or something, or get lunch, and she was awesome to work with. We worked on those scenes. She wanted to be the best she could do, best she could be, and it was a joy working with her. Principal Kwan confronts and suspends Chloe as editor of the Torch for running stories about Smallville being the mutant capital of the world. Do you think he'd really shut down the Torch just for that?
Maybe he's worried that she has fire ability and will shoot fire out of sprinklers.
Yeah, that's what Kwan almost died with all that stuff.
I need to stop this before it goes too far. The Torch. I see the resemblance.
Talkville is brought to you by Indeed. What's better than finding quality candidates? Finding them right now. For a powerful hiring partner, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place.
Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed.
Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews.
Hate waiting? Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job.
I mean, that's the thing, Tom, with hiring people, and we all have to hire people at some point in our life. You have to have these meetings and you have to go through all this research. But if you have someone who does it all for you, that's reputable, it makes life so much easier. So much easier. I wish I had Indeed years ago. Maybe I would have hired someone other than Ryan.
Ryan wouldn't be here.
We love Ryan. Indeed makes it easy to start hiring. It takes 10 minutes or less for most SMB employers to post a job, according to Indeed Data US.
Indeed does the hard work for you. You sponsor a job and boom, Instant Match shows you candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description immediately after you post. With Instant Match, you can start hiring fast.
With Indeed, you can select for the skills that matter to you most. Customize your job post with a selection of over 100 Indeed assessment tests and find the candidates with the right skills fast. Start hiring now with the $75 sponsored job credit to sponsor your job post at Indeed.com/talk. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/talk. Indeed.com/talk. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Yeah, as fun as this was the storyline that just kind of felt really forced. And it just the storyline that didn't, it was like the B story. And it was hard to really care. It was like this love triangle, and Chloe, we'll get to it, but Lana's gonna take over the torch, but she's doing it for Chloe, and then it's like Chloe's like, no, we're just friends. Lana, yeah, no, we're just friends, and it's just like, oh my gosh, come on, they're both in love with Clark, and it was a little forced, and maybe back in the day it worked a little better, but I had some issues. You didn't have issues, Tom?
No, I just enjoy you shitting on it.
I'm not shitting on it.
I thought, I thought it was a tough thing to pull off, and I think Allison is superb in this. I think in reading the scenes, it's you probably were like, oh, this is gonna not be that great, but she really elevates it. I do feel like I would agree that the way you feel is the way Lex would feel if he walked in on those scenes with these people. He'd just be above it all. But he's also like, 20 years older. So
he's not. He's only like 6 years old. He's only like 23, 22.
But I thought Allison killed it, and it just became a little tension. It was getting into that who's who likes who.
I get it. And it's also that kind of show too. I understand.
Well, yeah, wasn't that
Angst.
what Al and Miles were talking about? It was like CW or WB was always trying to like teen, well, I don't know what the word would be,
teen
like
love,
teen, like, yeah, make it the high school drama show that, like, that they have on the network.
Yeah, that's true. And it was,
it was a network note.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
It's a story about high school kids.
It is.
And they're
that's true.
The older bald guy who comes around.
That's true. But look, the show was at its best when it was darker, when it was character driven, when, we had backstories on different characters and there were secrets and there was all these things. So to me, I always liked darker. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. However, I understand that the scene was, I don't know if I won't call it essential, but I'll say, I understand that teen angst and like the love triangle and all that stuff. It makes
all right,
sense.
but remember that Lex started this whole thing. In this episode, the first time you have the triangle is when Clark is at the adult party that Lex is throwing, and Lana's there, and Lex is like, oh, I'll leave you two to it. And you set that up. And then we've got Whitney over there. So like Lex started the triangle theme in this episode.
I'm being blamed.
Lana's in overlapping triangles.
Yeah. Phelan confronts Clark in his fortress of solitude, the barn, and exposes his secrets, blackmailing him to be his muscle in Metropolis. Now, this is when you really get to see how dirty this guy is. He drops a car engine on you, or an engine block, and I thought that was really cool. That was dope. I mean, he took the chance. He's like, he wasn't even sure, was this the guy who got hit by the bus? But he said, yeah, I think it is, and we're going to drop this, and if it kills him, it kills him. If it doesn't, then... I thought that was pretty cool, and I liked seeing Clark, it was really a dilemma. I mean, it was really the first time like Clark's like, oh my God, somebody's seen my powers. How did you, how did you play that? Or how did you?
I mean, I don't know if I remember, but I think I just tried to play it for what it is. This is a kid who has these abilities. He's kind of found out. They've spent a lot of time trying to protect that information. And then as we go on, I really like these scenes with Jonathan. We'll talk about it later about family and trust and lying and duty and stuff like that. So, but again, my takeaway is, again, Clark's clothing unscathed.
It bothered you. You're shitting on the show.
But yeah, they shot that differently. I took a note that there was like some handheld camera going on in that. Like,
yeah,
a little creepier.
I gotta tell you, the handheld stuff, I just wasn't sure about. It was just a different show. It was just a different show. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I just was kind of like, what is this? This is different.
The theory behind the handheld is that it brings some sort of energy to the action itself, or some scenes that may be kind of slow. I mean, this is the age of, look at 24, which I was a huge fan of. I would run home to watch it. All handheld, like the energy behind the camera, that whole idea. But yeah, they started to, I think, experiment a little more with it in this episode. I didn't really catch it so much rewatching it this time for the podcast, but it was a new thing at the time. I remember I'm like, oh, you're just going to put the camera on your shoulder? Cool. Like, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Clark tells his parents, and Jonathan Kent pulls a big-time dad move and says that he will handle the situation by confronting Phelan at the beanery the next day. Lana Lang goes to Principal Kwan to get the torch reinstated, and the only way he agrees is by making Lana Lang the new editor. This insults and enrages Chloe.
Sorry. I was the one thing about the coffee thing.
Oh yeah.
That scene, I watched it twice. I think it's better than, because what it really shows is Jonathan. I feel like Jonathan has really done some things in his past. Because the way he's composing himself, trying to talk to this guy, protecting his son, standing up for him, I feel like he's always just about to just like pounce like a lion on this guy. I really, this is John Schneider at his best.
I 100% agree. I felt when he slammed Phelan on that table, that was a great moment. I thought his you could tell he was hurt, like, this guy's going to hurt my son, and that enraged him. If it's one thing that enrages Jonathan, it's someone messing with his son. Right. And I haven't seen that side of him. And that was cool. What'd you think?
Well, that would be funny if they just sort of faded to like a flashback scene of him and it was actually Dukes of Hazzard.
Well, I think John learned a lot about physicality, showing physicality for the camera. Like there's things you can do without hurting the other actor that look like you are,
right?
Which I learned from John a little bit. But remember that both John and Annette had actually had families when we filmed this show, so they knew they had more to pull from in these moments.
I felt it. I felt Schneider. I thought it was one of his best performances in the series. I mean, I thought he was really on point and really. We saw some depth.
Mm-hmm. But sorry, I interrupted. Let's get back to Principal Kwan.
Here was my issue. All of a sudden, Chloe's hysterically crying, going psycho on Lana for taking the editor when she's going to hire Chloe so she could eventually take the job back, and she immediately loses her shit. Oh, so
cheerleading's not enough.
That scene just, I thought was misdirected. I thought Allison's great. She's a great actress, but I thought I would not have made her cry and go so crazy. I just felt like it was a little too much for me. It just felt like, why is she crying? Why is she so emotional that, Lana did this, and not seeing she's a smart girl and she should understand what Lana's trying to do and trying to help her. Like, Lana wants to be fucking editor. Lana doesn't want to be fucking editor. You think Chloe deserves more credit than to respond that way, emotionally, make herself look bad. I felt like it was too much. What'd you think, Ryan?
Look, man, high school, these things matter, man. You're gonna take away the editor of the paper. This is all I got, and you're gonna let the cheerleader edit and be closer to the guy that I secretly like. And when you're in high school, that is important.
She said some shit to Lana that I was like, oh my gosh, that's harsh. Do you think Lana really wants to be the editor of this paper? She's trying to help you.
Well, that was the theme that they got to later with Clark. Lana was like, the more you try to help someone, like the more it ends up hurting. I can't remember what the actual quote was, but they're sort of on the same path where Clark is really trying to like not let his parents get in trouble and trying to take care of things himself, and he ends up messing things up worse, and which is what Lana ends up doing as well.
Yeah. All right. Phelan takes Clark to Metropolis to retrieve some files from an employee of Internal Affairs. Clark takes the files, destroys Phelan's car, and calls the police on him. Throws the safe out and lands on the car. The cops come. I thought that was pretty cool. But what'd you think, Tom? You're shaking your head.
I just felt like it was a nice move by Clark to like. How's this cop going to explain that he has this safe on? How's he going to explain it? And he's not going to just be like, well, there's this kid Clark Kent in Smallville, and he threw it on my car. I thought it was a good plot thing to mix things up. Whether it makes sense or not, I don't know, but whatever. It makes Clark look smart. That's cool.
The next day, Smallville PD shows up to search the Kent farm on a tip from Phelan and the man they arrested probably the night before, and find a man shot in the barn and a gun in Jonathan's truck. And they arrest Jonathan Kent.
Yeah. Well, the big takeaway I like from that is when he's being arrested, he grabs Clark and says, "I need you to be strong." And I thought that was a good scene.
Yeah, and I felt the tension, like it felt like Clark was going to use his powers, right? And all of a sudden he stops him. It's like, whoa, I need you to be strong. I thought that was a great scene. I really thought that was a great scene. Lana and Clark have a good little heart-to-heart about whether or not their adopted parents' lives would have been easier without them. Thought that was sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it has to happen, I guess, that scene. I was kind of honestly rewatching it. I was kind of like, all right.
All right, we get it. You're both adopted. Clark visits Jonathan in the jail, admits to almost succumbing to his urge to kill Phelan. Now, this is something I haven't seen in Clark at all. Like, this was really dark. Like Clark's like, I was going to kill him. And the only problem I have with this scene, because I thought the acting was really great and it was intense and both of you guys were really in the moment and I really enjoyed your performances. But don't you know that they record everything the prisoners are saying? And you're saying, yeah, I was involved, Dad. I did it. I joined Phelan. And that's the only thing I was thinking logically. But maybe you guys didn't think that.
Yeah, I mean, he said he went to go see him and he wanted to kill him, but I guess maybe the guy took a bathroom break and didn't hear it. But what I really liked is that I didn't remember that this had happened, but that fist on the window, as soon as I saw it when I was rewatching, I remember that was John. John did that.
Really?
And I remember he didn't tell me he was going to do it. And it's, this might sound ridiculous, but in the acting world, you get what I mean. He just did it on his side and they shot him first. He just put his hand up there. And I remember just being like, what, Dad, like, what do you, okay. Like, what is this? And then he leans in and he really gets in. I remember being like, this is awesome. Like,
that's great. And you remember
just
that.
Always wanted that connection.
Yeah. John always tried to elevate scenes. He did. And he did elevate scenes. Lex tries to help Clark. Clark tells him no and that he needs to handle it on his own. Boy, was Clark angry at Lex for some reason. No, Lex, I need to do this on my own.
Well, when you're angry, you're really only angry at yourself. There's an old saying. I know we can talk about more on Inside of You, but somebody told me that once. Like, I see you're angry, and I was. And they're like, we're only angry at ourselves. And I was like, damn it, you're right.
Yep.
That's kind of what that moment was. So
I hear you. Phelan recruits Clark for one final task, and Clark agrees to get his father out. Phelan wants Clark to break into the museum and help steal the gems off the Alexander the Great breastplate. They get in, throw off security, and obtain the gems, but then Clark throws the bag containing everything outside the museum, knowing that it had Phelan's fingerprints all over it.
I mean, listen, this guy Phelan just won't go away. Do we know he's even a cop, or does he have a fake badge?
No, he's a cop.
I know, but we don't really see him being a cop. I feel like he could have just been this like really cool con man. Does
Didn't Lex find the bomb at the museum in the thing?
Yeah,
I love how
kinda
it was so weird.
track that.
Yeah, I was like, what? This Lex shows up. He's following him.
Was that the distraction to get the guards out of the museum? I wasn't sure what that was either.
Yeah, he called in a bomb threat.
Phelan called in a bomb threat.
And Lex, for some reason, knew that where to find the bomb in question. There wasn't even a bomb. It was just an alarm clock that was meant to throw off the guards. So, yeah, he called in the bomb threat. All the guards left. And then they cut the wires. And then nobody was inside.
Lex finds that.
I mean...
I also noticed that, I don't know if that was you doing that hand insert or not for the alarm clock, but there was some shakiness going on there. It was like, I'm trying not to mess this scene up.
Yeah, it wasn't my hand.
Yeah, it was somebody did that for you.
Look at this steady fucking hand right here. Look at this.
It wasn't coffee because you guys were shooting at 3 a.m. in downtown Vancouver.
I don't know, but those were always the best. When they're like, Michael, we just need you to come in. Like there's a scene where you see me following Phelan and Clark. And it's just like in a car. So I have to wait till the end of the day, end of the night, end of the scene. It just sees me driving through frame. So it's like I'm there for like 6 hours and then I'm home. It was one of those things where you're like, oh, but you needed it. You needed it. Phelan gets angry and tries to shoot Clark, who Keanu's the bullet and escapes unscathed. Phelan then dies in a gunfight with the museum security. This is the first time we see you dodge a bullet, right?
They call it bullet time, we did.
Bullet time.
That's what it's called.
And the
great.
Interesting unsolicited commentary. We got better, even though I think this is really good. We got better at it later because we could paint things in and out of the frame where you could almost pass something by someone so they could watch it. But when we did this one, we weren't technologically to that point. So when you see me looking and following, I'm just like looking around the room in kind of half motion, but not slow motion because they ramp it. I just remembered I'd never done it before. I was all figuring it out, and I just thought it was really cool because I love the Matrix, and I think it turned out pretty cool. Like if you track my eyes and stuff, it's cool.
I thought it was great. I thought it was a little slow. Later on, they sped it up a little bit because it took forever for that bullet. It's like, it just took for freaking out.
Well, it was a double take. It was like I see this, I see people walking, I'm gonna go all the way to the other side. I was already clear of it the first time.
Yeah, but it was really cool.
Or just duck.
At the end, Chloe gets reinstated as editor of the Torch after Kwan finds the recent issue disparaging him from preventing free speech. Written by Lana Lang. Chloe thanks Lana, and both girls have an awkward makeup over not wanting to take their friend Clark out of each other's lives. And that's that scene where I was sort of talking about. I get it. I get it. I get it now after you guys kind of explained to me and with the CW, the WW.
Where was Pete?
Yeah, Pete wasn't in this episode.
He said he had one line where he said, he was like, Chloe, I think you just got fired. That was it.
That was his only line. Chloe, that was harsh too. Yeah. I think you just got fired. It's one line of the show, and it's
Who's that?
Who's that? Damn. We're gonna do that for the entire series. Damn. Who's that?
Okay, you gotta get him on.
Sam.
I am. I text Sam to get him on.
He'd be great.
The episode closes with Lex Luthor reviewing museum security footage and catching.
Hold on a second. You totally skipped over the fireplace scene. I really wanted to delve into.
All right, we didn't talk about it. Go ahead. I was trying to avoid it.
So I talked earlier. I really like that scene between you and Kelly, where you're both kind of one-liners back and forth, and blah blah blah. And there's a kiss there, and you kind of almost anticipate either like the morning after or like a bedroom scene, but no. What happens is the next time we see you, you're in front of the fireplace, still in your office, but laying down romantically, like on the like. You never leave your office.
I never noticed that.
Do you sleep? Are you a vampire? Like, what's going on?
I'm just a hard worker.
You're like, let's make out for a second, but hold on, hold that thought. Let me start the fire. Let's sit down and talk on the floor.
Tom, I'm a very hard worker. Do you understand? I work hard. Jesus. I work long hours in the office.
But also just the conversation you guys were having was just like let's betray our fathers. Ooh, isn't this sexy?
Yeah.
Like even if they murder us, like, ooh, What?
Yeah, we'll take them both down. Why take one down?
Yeah,
when
kinks.
you can have two. Yeah, it was a little bit much, but it was, it's setting things up. It's kind of trying to have a little storyline there with her, and where's this going to go?
Well, it's also like Al very pointed. I mean, listen, Al's never said anything that's been incorrect. He's like a wizard when it comes to all things Smallville and otherwise. But the idea of getting to see Lex operate in his world, especially with the past relationship, is interesting.
Yeah. I loved the final scene. I will say the episode closes with Lex Luthor reviewing museum security footage and catching a blur of Clark using super speed. That is sort of, to me, that's the Lex Luthor. Up to what is he up to? What's going on behind the eyes? What's this? What's this blur? What do we, it will take 10 more years to figure that out. But it was cool. It was well shot. It was interesting. I liked Kelly in the scene. I liked that she was Lex is distracted, but he's, it was cool. I dug that scene.
And also kudos to Cameron, who played the cop. I remember real quick being on set, and, I don't think there was ever an actor on the show that I didn't like or get along with, but I remember him just, when they said action, he could really get under your skin. That scene where I have him against the post in the kitchen. I just remember he really, he was good at that, and yeah. It was awesome. So, yeah,
I remember working with him because I think he comes back because there's a flashback, I believe, where he doesn't come back, but it's a flashback of when I was young and I got into trouble and he helped me. I believe we see him again. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a different cop, but I remember really enjoying working with him, and I thought he did a really good job. This is interesting things of note, folks, and then we'll get into some questions from you, and we'll talk about the ratings. We'll talk about Ryan's favorite scene. We're moving along here. Clark saying he doesn't see himself going into battle with that on his chest, looking at the S symbol chest plate from Alexander the Great, which we talked about. No freak of the week, except from Tom's perspective, Clark was the freak of the week, which makes a lot of sense. It was an interesting take. Phelan witnesses and tests Clark's freak strength and athletic ability, all to just send him on a mission of sneaking around on an apartment.
Oh, the joke is that you find this guy who can stop a bus, and then you send him on this weak ass,
oh yeah,
this is what you want him to do, instead of hey, I want you to break into Fort Knox.
Right.
It's just, but maybe he's just trying to feel him out a little bit.
All right, and now it's time for questions. You guys asked some questions. We're going to try and answer them. Here we go.
Hey guys, this is Michael Piccioni from College Station, Texas. I just finished the rewatch of episode 9 titled Rogue, and I got to say that bus crash scene in front of the gala is just still so awesome. So I wanted to ask, do you remember filming that scene, and what did you guys think of the final product? For me, it still holds up so well. Thanks again for taking my question, and of course, the walk down memory lane.
Yeah, I touched on this earlier. I remember filming a big portion on how it was made, and it being in the middle of the night. There's this thing in movie making called where you want to establish a hero, they have to save the cat. A guy saving a cat in a tree. Oh, that's the hero. Got it. We know that that's the good guy. And if you notice, there's the homeless guy, and one of the last things you see is his dog before Clark makes a decision to go stop the bus. So it's kind of save the dog moment. I thought it looked really good, the way the bus hitting Clark and the positioning. I think, it didn't distract my eye. Sometimes visual effects can do that. So I was happy to see it.
Yeah, and overall, I thought the effect was fantastic. I thought, especially TV back in 2001, that was they did a great job. Here is Sophie with question number 2.
Hey, Michael and Tom, it's Sophie here in Australia. I am loving the podcast. Can't wait to tune in every Wednesday. My question is for you, Michael, for episode 9 Rogue. You got to work a bit with Kelly Brook, who played Victoria Hardwick. I'm just wondering if you can tell me any cool moments you got to have with her or any behind-the-scenes stories. Thank you.
Well, now that you mentioned it, Sophie.
This is the tell-all moment.
I remember she had a friend with her. And I remember I had my 2 friends, Tom and Deneen, who I love. They were staying with me in Kitsilano, and her friend came over, and we went over scenes, and then we all drank and hung out and karaoke'd and had a great time. She was just so much fun to be around. Just just a really pleasant person and worked hard. So thanks, Sophie. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with her, and we're still friends to this day. All right. Coming up now is a question from Melanie. This better be good, Melanie.
Hi, this is Melody calling from Long Island, New York. For the Rogue episode, I was curious if there was a scene that was cut that would explain why Clark was so aggressive with Lex. I mean, Lex is just looking out for him as a friend would, and I get that Clark is trying to protect his secret, but he seemed to be, like, really aggressive for some unknown reason. Thanks, guys, for doing this. Love you. Bye.
She said, why was Clark so aggressive with Lex?
Was there was there a scene cut?
Yeah, was there a scene cut that would explain that?
Not that I know of. I think he was taking out his anger that he had for himself on Lex. It wasn't fair, and Lex deserves an apology.
Yeah, I'll dig that. All right, here's the next question. Let's see what happens.
Hi, I'm Yannick. I'm from Montreal, and I have a question for the upcoming episode of Rogue. I think what's really striking about it is that Clark gets to be heroic and do a lot of mistakes and gets angry. That seems to be something that they didn't do as much on the show later on, and I was wondering what was it like for Tom to play all these different things in the same episode. Love the show. Bye.
Great question. I thought that was really great.
I agree. I think if you really get into tracking Clark in this episode, there is a lot going on. Every scene is different, and he's kind of pulled in different directions. I lost track at 4 times in this episode that Clark said, "I gotta go." I don't know if anybody else caught that.
I didn't notice that.
He says it after 4 times. I stopped counting because it's like he's like talking to Lana. He's like, "Gotta go," and then he's like that whole scene with Lana taking over the torch. Clark's like, "Gotta go." He says it so many times in this episode, it's hilarious. It's just gotta go. But yeah, it was fun. I don't think I was aware at the time that there was so much difference, but I think I was probably just playing Clark in the scene and trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah, this episode definitely, there were times when it made me feel really uncomfortable. It's like I felt really bad for Clark. Like, what a position to be put in. Like, this is like, what is he going to do? And he kind of has to do this. And like, what would you do in that situation? It's like, you love your parents and you're trying to save your parents and it's just, it was.
Everybody likes to think, if you were a superhero, everything would be easy. Well, maybe if you don't, you watch that TV show, The Boys, and how they sort of pervert that whole thing is really fun to watch. But when it affects the people around you, it's a consideration.
Yeah. Here we go with Leanne.
Hey guys, it's Leanne from Sacramento. I had a question about the episode Rogue. I noticed in the episode that a generator was dropped on Clark along with him running into a bus. So Tom, I'm curious about what exactly goes into shooting scenes like that. Thanks guys. Take care. Bye.
So when the generator fell on you in the barn, like what do you remember? How did they shoot that?
I'll be honest with you. I don't specifically remember, but I'm going to guess what they did. They do it in the cuts and the edits. I'm pretty, I don't remember if it was like a foam thing they dropped or I wasn't there and then they just pieced it together. I know that the thing that I push off my chest probably wasn't the actual generator. It was probably a version of it, and I had to make it sort of look like it was heavy. So yeah, movie magic.
You know what? I just anytime you see Jonathan Kent cleaning some sort of like vague piece of machinery at the beginning of the episode, that's gonna get used later in like a violent way, because that happened with like the plow. Like he had to save somebody from like falling on the spikes of a plow, and then like he's like just polishing this generator. It's like, oh,
setting it up. It's the old Hitchcock. Right?
This is
setting it up. I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
me neither.
This is John, who's from overseas and couldn't call in. But John L., what is the show's obsession with the initials LL? Lex, Lionel, Lucas, Lachlan, Lillian, Lutessa are all Luthers. Lana, Laura, Louis Lang, Lois and Lucy Lane, Linda Lake. Surely not a coincidence. Any thoughts or insight? Cheers. That's interesting. I bet Al would have the answer to that.
He probably has the answer. And the original creators are pretty hard to get on the phone right now. So I think we'd have to ask Al. He probably knows. Yeah. Clark Kent, Jonathan Kent. Yeah, it's kind of a Luther thing. I don't know. It's everybody but Clark. I don't know. I'm boggled. What's the deal with the L thing, Al?
Yeah, I'm just texting Al right now. Al's going to have this for the next 4 years. These texts every week going, oh, I have to answer Rosenbaum's questions. Although he likes it. He really...
I'll tell you a quick story. I forget. It was like between, I don't know, season 2 or 3 or something, or 3 and 4. And it was finally the time where it was like, oh, I'm going to do like the big vacation I've always dreamed. I was going to fly to Europe and everything. And I'm walking on the plane, and this guy walks in with a Superman hat and a Smallville jacket. And I remember seeing him from behind, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Is this going to be weird for me? Like, I hope he doesn't sit next to me. Turns around, it's Al with his family. And I'm like, Al. And he's like, Tom, where are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to Rome. Apparently you are too. I'm like, what's this jacket and the hat? He goes, oh, I wear this all the time. Like he's an actual... He's into it. Like it's in his soul.
Yeah, I agree. So he'll probably text me here, hopefully by the end of the podcast, and we'll get an answer for you because we don't have one right now. Thank you for all the questions. I really appreciate you guys calling in. Please keep doing that every week. We love your questions, and we'll try to give you the best answers we can. So look, the death count and save count in this one. How many people got saved? How many died? 2 dead, the guy in the barn, and Sam Phelan died. 2 people saved, the bus driver and the homeless man. I guess the dog. Wasn't there a dog there too?
Yeah.
And the dog didn't squeal, run away, do anything on that bus?
Nope.
I don't know. Well, what are you going to do?
The dog knew he'd be fine with Clark there. Animals know.
Animals know. Through 9 episodes, 14 dead, 18 saved. Look, after watching this again, it's not that I didn't like the episode. I thought there was a lot of great things in it. There's a lot of great performances. There was some cool shots, some cool moments, some cool effects. But it was just, it didn't feel like a Smallville episode as much. But maybe that's good in many ways. I just don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm still kind of computing. Tom,
but it was a Smallville episode. It was literally an episode of Smallville. Like what you have to understand is Smallville is showing you different things.
It was evolving. It was
Yeah.
evolving. I see that. I do see that. And it was fun to watch. It was fun.
It's like the first time they don't give you your freak of the week, which you adore so much. And you're still like, yeah,
But then it's not an episode of Smallville.
You're right.
It's not an episode of Smallville.
No,
Where's the freak of the week stuff I hate?
Yeah. No, it's not that I always hate the freak of the week. I mean, Jitters was freak of the week, but it was different and it was really cool and it was bigger. This episode, let's talk about the Rosenbaum rating. 3 roses is the best. 2 roses, 1 rose. You could use half roses if you want. Then we go to a heater. It's right down the middle. It's a heater. It's neither good or bad. It's just like it was okay. And then there's 1 bomb, 2 bomb, 3 bombs. What did you guys give it? But let's start with Ryan.
1 for me.
1 rose.
1.
1 rose. Tom?
Really? And you like this show?
I'm learning to like it.
He's learning to like it.
I'm still figuring out what it is.
Listen, I as you can see, we're how many episodes in this podcast? I like the show, so I'm going to give it a 2. I think if you showed this show to people who didn't know the show, they'd be like, "Oh, what's this? I'm interested." This is showing a different side of Clark, showing his, invulnerability, if that's a word.
Yeah. Yes. No.
Sort of the pressure cooker that he's always under. And then you have Lana taking over the torch. So it's a big episode.
You know,
There
the
we
more
go.
I hear you talking about it, and I think of the scenes, and I think of the backstories, and I think of like we find out Lex is a baddie, you know, and he had some bad childhood stuff going on, and Phelan was there getting him out of stuff, and Phelan's the bad cop, and you're like, what's going on there? And then you see this emotional journey that Clark has with his father and his to do the right thing, and you know, I didn't particularly care for the other stories. I liked that story. That was the story that it was Clark's story that I focused on. The other stories I could do without. And so overall, I'm going to give Rogue Tom snoring. This is a tough one. It's either a half a rose or a rose.
Give it a rose. You did good in the episode. It was cool for your character.
You got to act with Kelly Brook in this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a rose.
and the
I'll give it a
subsequent
rose.
three.
I'll give it a rose just because there were some great moments, and I like the story, Clark's story so much. I'm going to give it a rose. And by the way, I've given it mostly roses. I haven't given it I haven't given it a heater or any bombs. So
It'll
9
be
episodes.
interesting. I'd be surprised if we ever got to a point where we're like giving negative rosies.
Oh no, there's an episode I know I'm going to give a bomb to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
didn't know
remember
that.
it being one of the worst episodes. I forgot what
Right.
it was called or what season it was, but it was like with the principal, but it wasn't Principal Kwan. It was a different principal or a teacher, and it was
wait.
just dreadful. And I remember
Can't
going,
wait.
wow. It was a short name in the title, too. But that's going to, I guarantee, get a bomb or two from me.
You started auditioning for other shows at the time. You're like, called your agent and you're like, let's think about the next one, guys.
No, look, make no mistake. I was incredibly proud of the show. I love the show. Now this is a 50-year-old man going back and rewatching shows that he was on and trying to understand and reflect and just, you know, and so it's harder for me to, you know, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying watching every week and not knowing what's going to happen. And sometimes I tear up. Sometimes I'm moved. Sometimes I really am impressed. Sometimes, but that with the other stuff makes for more of a dynamic, you know, what am I thinking? Like it's sort of like I'm unpredictable. My feelings on each show are unpredictable. I feel like Tom's are pretty predictable. He's going to like it no matter what.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't try to like it. It's not like I'm not defending. I don't feel like I'm defending the show.
No.
But I just find myself when I'm rewatching it, I'm like, I get to finally enjoy it because at the time I don't think I did. So
Good.
Yeah. I think if we would have been on set and at the end of each episode, you were like, how many roses you want to give this one? I'd be like, -8. I'd be like, because it was just a total different mind space.
You'd equate
But
it with
no.
working and exhaustion and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Al just responded to the question about what was with all the L's on the show. LL, Lana Lang, Lex Luthor, Lionel Luthor. He just said that was the Superman creators, what the Superman creators had done. Lex Luthor, Lana Lang, Lois Lane, even Kal-El. So he kept in the tradition naming Lionel Luthor.
Well, it's
Somebody knows. Somebody
Roman
knows.
numeral
There's like
50.
a math behind it or something, I bet.
it's
Yeah.
what number of the
Like if-
alphabet is it?
Yeah, like if the letter of everyone's name is a number, it all adds up to the same number. I don't know.
I don't know what this means, but he says, I think Michael Chabon may explore it in The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, which is fictionalized version of Schuster and Siegel.
He's just like, I'm not
He's
sure,
an
but let
encyclopedic.
me.
I mean, the
He
guy
is.
he just knows everything. Yeah. So look, this has been a treat. We still have one thing to do,
Sure.
and that is what Ryan's favorite scene was.
Well, here's what I'll say about my one rose rating. The part that got me was how quick the legal process worked for John Kent.
Oh,
That is the thing that kind of got me. It was
that
just-
at the end was just like, hey, they let it all go. They threw it away. The judges apologized. Everything's good.
they didn't even pick him up from prison.
No.
He showed up in the kitchen.
How are you guys?
Oh, it's good. Everything's good. I went to prison. What was that like? Fine.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a big
so
deal.
Jonathan, though. He didn't want to call home and be like, "Hey, Clark, they just let me out. I'll explain later. Can you super speed pick me up
They
real quick?"
just wrapped this thing up with a little ribbon and bow, didn't they?
Like he would be in prison for like at least 3-4 more episodes, and there would be, some courtroom dramas.
Yeah.
We'd have to introduce a lawyer character.
Look, this is also TV, especially, 22 episodes, and it was finding itself, and it was CW. They didn't do these, what are they called, where you have these streamers where they have cliffhangers every episode. They wrap everything up until
Standalone
later.
episodes.
It's a lot of episodes.
Standalone.
But eventually the stories start to unfold and there are cliffhangers, and that's when the show, I think, gets better and better when we start doing that, when things last longer than just one episode. Ryan's favorite scenes.
All right.
He's written 3 scenes. Here we go.
All right. So top 3 in no particular order. There's the introduction of bullet time. That's number 1.
Yeah, the bullet.
Bullet time. Number 2, fireplace. Lex and Victoria, the fireplace.
Okay.
Wait, did you have that before I brought it up?
I did.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird. And number 3, the bus. Right, the bus in the beginning.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Hey, you know what I just realized?
What?
Like, might be I might be an idiot. We have 2 big stunts. Like the bus was a big one, and bullet time. Those are 2 big things to show in one episode.
I'm going to bump it up to a rose.
I was just gonna say, do you want to change your?
No, I'm keeping it at a rose.
Bullet time, fireplace, bus.
I'm gonna go bus. Even though I think you like bullet time and you were amused by the fireplace scene as I was.
I'm going to go bullet time.
Uh-oh.
It was bullet time.
Yeah! Yes! He wins again!
Well,
Tom's pissed.
Listen, I was in both scenes. If you want to find either of them awesome, I don't mind.
Yeah, you got the best scenes, man.
It was cool because it was a cool thing at the time. The Matrix was 2 years old at that point, and it was a feat. And I mean,
for TV especially.
I mean, I can imagine, and you talked about it a little bit. I can imagine them directing you through it. Had to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but somebody had already put a lot of thought into what I needed to do for the camera, and I think I was just like, okay, just let me know. You know what I mean? And it was like me being able to do what they needed me to do, because although I agree, Michael, it's a little long, but I thought it was well done. Well,
yeah, I thought it was incredible.
I mean, I think it needed to be long because we needed to
establish it.
Yeah. He said, well, you're definitely not bulletproof. I'm like, oh my God, is it going to ricochet off of him or is he going to dodge it? And we had to figure out what is Clark going to do? What is going to be the reveal?
Yeah.
And we still don't know if he's bulletproof at this point. We just know that he can move too many times and miss a bullet. I just think he should have ducked. I don't know. It would have been anticlimactic.
There you have it, folks. That is it for the episode Rogue. We need you to stick around next week as we really brighten things up and talk about episode 10, Shimmer. I think this was a Stephen DeKnight episode. I'm not sure. I don't know. Was it? I don't know. But I remember Shimmer. I remember it has kind of a scary kind of feel, supernatural feel, I believe. I do remember Shimmer. I'm not quite sure how much I liked it, but I really do remember that episode Shimmer.
I have to actually go watch it. I don't remember it at all. I have to go watch it.
Wow. Well, look, let's take the discussion online. Let us know your thoughts on the episode over on our socials at Talkville Podcast or Talkville Pod. Please write a review. Please subscribe. Watch on YouTube. Join patreon.com/Talkville. Support the podcast. And we'll have a Shopify account up soon. We'll let you know about that. And if you want to let us know your thoughts for other episodes in season 1, leave a voicemail over at 213-538-2883. And
please do, because they're fun. They make us think. So thank you.
Yeah. That was a treat. I've already talked to some of the cast members, and they're going to come on. I know Erica would want to come on, but we got to wait till she's on the show.
Well, you and I just talked about this. We saw her at a con recently, and I don't know if you remember, but I said to her, I'm like, why don't we, you're kind of seeing the episodes for the first time, just like Michael. And, she worked on Smallville before she was on camera at Smallville. So I think we can bring her up a little bit and just maybe as someone who sees the show or had seen the show, get her thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But we can talk about it.
I think we could do that. But we appreciate you sticking with us, and hopefully you're sticking with us through every episode, and you're in for the long haul. And next episode is 10. From myself, Michael Rosenbaum, here in the Hollywood Hills. We got Ryan Tejas over there. Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Welling.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks for having such a great attitude, Tom. I really appreciate that.
Same, Ryan. Doctor.
All right. Love you, buddy. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
See ya. And don't think we forgot our lovable patrons. Thank you, patrons. Go to patreon.com/talkville. Become a patron today. The top tier patrons get their names shouted out, and we'll never forget you. And here we are, me and Tom. Let's read the names. Tommy, take it away.
Nikki G, Leon P, Raj C, Santiago M, Suzanne B,
Leah S, Little Lisa, Tiny Little Lisa, Callie D, Tom T, Sophie M, Betsy D.
Oh, I got it this time. Liliana A, Abhi P, Chris F, Kimberly E, Jeremy V, Michael H, Ray H, Karen M, Design OTG, Danielle B.
Jesus, you read a lot of them. 99 more. Lalani N, Catherine P, Brett G, Super Sam. Always hold on to Smallville. That's our tagline for the end of the show. Farrell T, Jeff E, Estevan G, DJ Kento.
Garrett W, Just JTR, Taylor H, Kimberly L,
Nope,
Teresa,
Tyler H. Can't mess Tyler's name up.
Tyler H, Kimberly L, Teresa, Justin S.
Eric W, Tom N, Tony V, Rodolfo V, Jason W, Osama A, and Nancy D.
Megan H, Arton K, Justin T, and Lucio, Tristan C, Grape Jelly 817, Jeremy G, Anna M, Amanda R, Brandy S, Teddy 127, Michael P, Benjamin P, Ryan R.
Grumpyitis. Old Grumpyitis. Daniel B, Jordan M, Hillary B, TH3 Blur, Craig
Blur.
G. Huh?
It's the Blur.
Oh, the Blur.
It's like
Craig G, Christy R, Pollyanna, Karen P, Derek G, Jarrell, Richard S, Heather and Greg, Nico P.
Mark D, Chase and Ramona, Brian H, Kelsey T, Jason M, DJ C, Georgina?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm an idiot. Georgina B, and Eric K.
Those are the top tier patrons. We love you. Thanks for supporting the show. And guys, keep watching. We love saying your names. Hopefully we're not messing them up too bad. Lalana, I think we did it right. I think you screwed up Leanne's name, but oh well. You have one mess up, and then we get in trouble. All right, guys. Tommy, good to see you.
See you next week.
We'll see you guys next week.